想不到吧？想不到吧？想不到我排名，想不到我排名那么高吧？今天会讲一整天故事会啊，不过今天从打炉石开始，我昨天偷打了啊。拜托，我的任务贼屌的不要的，好不好？我的任务贼真的屌。我昨天还打到前100嘞，只不过后来玩后喷下来了。我昨天还打到前100了，只是又打了一个，又手贱去按几场玩后，他妈被虐的，生活不能自理。那个他妈王后真的他妈，王后他妈不能打。我昨天用任务贼打到好像80几吧，我已经慢慢的会打了。起手要留准备，你知道起手要留准备的。辣元素不会太没用，打快攻挺好用的。王后贼最大的问题就是不够稳定啊，我个人这样认为。标题不改，标题改什么？真银剑吧，真银剑吗？还帮我扛了一刀，还行吧。
万物齐涨，连影片也动得调 QQ。
又没调很贵。这里打错了。这把赢了吧？
What causes, say, heroin addiction? This is a really stupid question, right? It's obvious. We all know it. Heroin causes heroin addiction. Here's how it works. If you use heroin for 20 days, by day 21, your body would physically crave the drug ferociously because there are chemical hooks in the drug. That's what addiction means. But there's a catch. Almost everything we think we know about addiction is wrong. If you, for example, break your hip, you'll be taken to a hospital and you'll be given loads of diamorphine for weeks or even months. Diamorphine is heroin. It's in fact much stronger heroin than any addict can get on the street because it's not contaminated by all the stuff drug dealers dilute it with. There are people near you being given loads of deluxe heroin in hospitals right now. So at least some of them should become addicts. But this has been closely studied. It doesn't happen. Your grandmother wasn't turned into a junkie by her hip replacement. Why is that? Our current theory of addiction comes in part from a series of experiments that were carried out earlier in the 20th century. The experiment is simple. You take a rat and put it in a cage with 2 water bottles. One is just water, the other is water laced with heroin or cocaine. Almost every time you run this experiment, the rat will become obsessed with the drugged water and keep coming back for more and more until it kills itself. But in the 1970s, Bruce Alexander, a professor of psychology, noticed something odd about this experiment. The rat is put in the cage all alone. It has nothing to do but take the drugs. What would happen, he wondered, if we tried this differently? So he built Rat Park, which is basically heaven for rats. It's a lush cage where the rats would have colored balls, tunnels to scamper down, plenty of friends to play with, and they could have loads of sex. Everything a rat about town could want. And they would have the drugged water and the normal water bottles. But here's the fascinating thing. In Rat Park, rats hardly ever use the drugged water. None of them ever use it compulsively. None of them ever overdose. But maybe this is a quirk of rats, right? Well, helpfully, there was a human experiment along the same lines.
蜡人数很好用的，蜡人数很好用。
20% of American troops in Vietnam were using a lot of heroin. People back home were really panicked because they thought there would be hundreds of
人是不是啊？
But a study followed the
为什么
soldiers
没人？
home and found something striking. They didn't go to rehab. They didn't even go into withdrawal. 95% of them just
因为他们看不
stopped
懂
after
英
they
文
got
啊。
home. If you believe the old theory of addiction,
因为他们看不懂
that
英文
makes
啊。
no sense. But if you believe Professor Alexander's theory, it makes perfect sense. Because if you're put into a horrific jungle in a foreign country where you don't want to be, and you could be forced to kill or die at any moment, doing heroin is a great way to spend your time. But if you go back to your nice home with your friends and your family, it's the equivalent of being taken out of that first cage and put into a human rat park.